ओंटारियो ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਵੇਰੀਐਂਟ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਮਰੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਵਧਦੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਹੈਲਥ ਮਾਹਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਚੇਤਾਵਨੀ ਵੀ ਜਾਰੀ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ। ਛੂਤ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਹਰ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਇਸਾਕ ਬੋਗੋਚ ਨੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਪੋਜ਼ਿਟਿਵ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਾਡਲਿੰਗ ਅੰਕੜਾ ਪ੍ਰਦਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਅਲਰਟ ਜਾਰੀ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਿਨਾਂ 'ਚ 9000 ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ।
I think it's fair to say that when we look at the modeling, they present a worst case scenario, a best case scenario, and of course there's a ton of gray area in between. The modeling also gives us factors that are quite frankly under our control as a population to ensure that we take the better or best case scenario pathway. So for example, if we reduce our contacts, if we boost vaccine status, we won't have that massive rise in cases. We won't overwhelm our ICU capacity, and we won't reach those high numbers. But of course, that means that there's a bit of heavy lifting that needs to be done right now. We've got to get those vaccines out. We've got to reduce those contacts. We've got to create safer indoor spaces, especially as we're in September. People are going back to school. People are going back to work. It's cooler and people are gathering indoors. So we've got to create safer indoor space. Seen in BC, it was seen in France when those countries announced a vaccine certificate system. I don't think the metric is looking for that right now, although we might see a little bump in it now. We'll probably see, hopefully we'll see a steady rise throughout the weeks to come while this is on the horizon, about to be implemented on September 22nd. Will this avert a fourth wave? No, this by itself will not. This just helps create safer indoor spaces, not perfectly safe indoor spaces, safer indoor spaces. We know the vaccine is very effective, but it's not 100% perfect. Like, you can still get infected, you're just less likely. You can still transmit if you're infected, you're just less likely. So this just lowers the probability of introducing and transmitting COVID-19 in an indoor space. It doesn't eliminate that risk. It's helpful. It creates a safer indoor space. Also, just like you showed before, people want this. When we poll Canadians, 70 to 80% of Canadians are in favor for this. When you poll businesses, the majority of them are in favor of this as well. And we know what this does. We also know what this doesn't do. We just have to have honest communication about that. There's obviously no appetite. Nobody wants another lockdown. We really have to protect our healthcare system capacity, right? It's not nice to talk about, but it's just fair to say that if you look at, for example, the ICU capacity per capita in Ontario or in Canada, it's not ideal when we look at us compared to other comparable nations. And we really have to do things to keep the virus in check at the community level to prevent our healthcare system from getting overwhelmed, to prevent a lockdown. We know how to do this at this point in time. Luckily, we have safe, effective vaccines that are widely available for everyone over the age of 12. But there's millions and millions of people who are eligible who are still not vaccinated. I mean, I think we really need to focus our attention on that, plus focusing our attention on creating policy to create safer indoor spaces. Good ventilation, masking, crowd control. It doesn't matter if it's a school, a business, a house of worship, a community center. We can create safer